let's sit quietly for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Inspired by the fruitional view. And what you explore in the fruitional view is what happens if you allow this moment to be what it is. And it's based on the Buddhist insight that most of our suffering, maybe even all of our suffering, is created through resistance. So we suffer because we resist. If that is true, and we have to check that up, then we can ask ourselves, okay, what happens if I soften my resistance? So that's it's a very different way to meditate than concentration or trying to cultivate positive states of mind. So it's a meditation of being present and opening your heart. A meditation of just sitting and letting go of the meditator, letting go of the control freak, even letting go of the need to feel good. Like sitting down with this intention, oh, I'm going to feel good. I'm going to feel better. So what we explore is if we let go of that, of any kind of puffed up meditator attitude. So that's an experiment. So let's play with that, lean into that. And initially, part of this way of sitting is that you become curious, lovingly curious about your body. So it is a shift from being in the interpretation and being in the head, kind of sitting behind your eyes. So you drop your sense of being from the head into the whole body. And really like experiencing the body from inside. So not like staying in the head and looking down, but really dropping into your legs, into your feet, being in the feet, being in the belly. Being in the breath, or being in the breath, and being in your hands. course, thoughts continue to arise, and that is not seen as a problem. So thoughts are welcomed, but the invitation is to emphasize them less. And then quite quickly we can also, maybe only for short moments, but it is definitely possible to appreciate the stillness, the peace, just surrounding and underlying and pervading your whole experience. A peace or a presence, a field of presence which we share. So you can tune in or listen to that stillness with your whole body, like sitting in the sun. Heart like the sky. And then it is when you get hooked by commentary, you unhook, you drop back into your hands, into your belly. And then from there you open, meditating like the sky. So you slide into an effortless way of being here, where the belly can soften, the shoulder can soften, your face can soften. And pressure melts like butter in the sun. Listening to the stillness with your heart, with your belly. Even if you're tired, agitated, distracted, stillness is also happening. there's something which calls for your attention, something you rather don't want to touch, breathing into that, allowing, letting be, softening. Nothing is excluded. Meditating like the sky, so sounds, sensations, thoughts, feelings, they are like the clouds. They come and go, and the sky remains. Heart like the sky remains. And then when you notice the controller, when you notice the need to feel better, to attain something or to get rid of something, as best as you can, you let go. And returning. So the returning is this dropping back into the body for the love of it. A sense of awe, a sense of curiosity, appreciating life. Falling in love. And whatever arises, love that. Meditating like the sky, heart like the sky. Boundaryless and centerless in the nature of love. And thoughts, feelings, sensations, sounds move through that space. And then when you struggle, when you get hooked by the commentary, dropping back into your hands, into your breath. Into the stillness. But this dropping back has nothing to do with concentration. It is a gesture of love, a gesture of kindness, a gesture of curiosity. Do you need to concentrate when you kiss someone? So the same, an effortless, loving attentiveness, a tenderness, being in touch with life. So here, in this way of sitting, there's no obstacles. So you don't apply antidotes. So everything is part of being distracted, being tired. Usually you would assume you need to, like if you're tired, if you feel exhausted, in other meditative approaches, you would ask yourself, okay, what's the antidote? What can I do? You might ask the teacher, oh, I'm always so tired when I meditate. What can I do? So here in that approach, the answer would be, whatever arises, love that. What's the problem with being tired? It's a problem if you think you need to be productive. It's a problem when you think you need to get somewhere with your meditation, because you're not there yet. But what we explore here is what happens if you let go of that need to feel better and to control. I'm not saying it's wrong to apply antidotes, it's just a different view. So as a teacher, I have an easy job with these kinds of questions which come up when people are in retreat. They ask, okay, I'm tired, I'm distracted, what do I do? And what they actually ask is, how can I get rid of this? Because it is an obstacle. It's not what I want. So the experiment here is, what happens if you let go of the meditator, if you unlearn meditation, which is of course difficult if you have trained many years in meditation and you got somewhere, then to unlearn meditation and to experiment with love, with presence. Of course you're tired. Of course you're distracted. Of course your mind goes all over the place. Look how you live. I mean, what do we expect? So how can you find a place of peace with this? Finding stillness without trying to calm down. Can you notice, can you tune in, can you recognize the stillness which is there all the time? Even if the birds are singing, even if your mind is chattering, even if the music is playing, can you tune in into the stillness which remains undisturbed? So that's what you relax into. This is very handy when you meditate and there's a party, or there's cars driving, or birds singing, or partners are snoring. It's very handy if you can tune in into the stillness, and then you can bring this into your office. You can bring this into your raising children and making breakfast and cooking and cleaning, and because you're slowly you're tuning in into that stillness, into that peace, which is pervading and underlying and surrounding any moment. You don't need to calm down, and you don't need to calm down the environment, the inside environment and the outside environment. One of the metaphors in the Tibetan tradition for this approach is the glass of water with mud inside. So the water is symbolizing that stillness, that peace, that heart-like sky. And the mud in the water is representing that which seems to cloud the heart-like sky. So now in the progressive approach, you would seek methods to kind of get rid of the mud. Steering, doing something, filtering the water, putting some chemicals inside that the mud gets, different methods. So in the resultant approach to meditation, you do something very, very powerful. You do not doing. You do not practicing. You do not, and that is not, giving up and, being lazy, and it's a very precise way of being. It's not like, getting drunk and just giving up. It's a very precise way of non-practicing, of non-doing, of non-controlling, of non-interfering, of non-manipulating. And then what happens is it settles. And then the purity of the water, which was actually not stained, which was not affected in a way, can shine more obviously. So, familiarizing yourself with the clarity of the water while there is still mud. That is very, of course, that's very helpful within the busyness of our life, with all the challenges we have, with all the buttons which are pressed, particularly when we live in a relationship. I mean, it's a daily roller coaster to be in a relationship. So then in your meditation practice, to fight against that can be quite frustrating. Okay, so let's go. I will go through this, and then this afternoon I will guide you, and then we can discuss and explore and make it a bit richer. And if you want to read a bit about these two practices, then you need to go Google Pema Children and Compassionate Abiding, or Tara Brach and Rain. Yes, and you find talks and explanations, and so Rain is a word coming from the 4 letters of these 4 steps. Yeah. Recognize, accept, investigate, non-identification. So that's Rain. So the first step in the practice of compassionate abiding is localize. In the practice of Rain, it's to recognize. So to localize refers to localize in the body. And this is maybe a surprising move. Because we have learned, or our habit is, not to feel our feelings, but to think about them and to find solution on the conceptual level, on the cognitive level. And going into the cognitive level is one of the major ways how we try to escape our experience. So something happens, and there's discomfort, and we go like, and get lost in the cognitive part and trying to think about it, trying to find solutions, trying to find explanations. So we go into the blah, 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 blah. And a lot of that blah, blah, blah actually becomes part of the problem. So a lot of the blah, blah, blah becomes self-attack, becomes more stress factors. So more here, more trying to figure it out, more here, more trying to figure out, and then there's panic, and then there's sleepless night, horrible morning, horrible days, horrible weeks, trying to figure things out, not feeling them, not experiencing, but trying to figure things out. So this is probably one of the, for us, living in a disembodied culture, this is probably one of the most rewarding directions. And if we don't do that in our practice, in our spiritual practice, then our practice will remain very superficial. Now, practicing compassion is not something which can happen on the cognitive level. There's a value in that, of course, but compassion, kindness, friendliness is something which happens in the whole body. It manifests through your whole body. It's not like, may all beings be happy. And that's what we tend to do. We tend to practice as heads on sticks. And a lot of psychotherapy is also happening like that. It's happening like this. So here the practice of compassionate abiding and the recognizing in the rain model is really realizing you're not stuck in your head. This is a fundamental illusion. You are actually not, and neuropsychology catches up with that feelings and the communication with your environment and with other people is not happening here. You think and feel and be, and your whole nervous system, your whole body is involved in communication, in the constant feedback with your environment. And since we have emphasized so much the cognitive level, I really want to emphasize this today. The exploration of working with difficult feelings, not on the cognitive level, but on the somatic level. a bit also from my own experience that, trying to, meditate myself away from difficult feelings and, applying antidotes and going through all this kind of cognitive teachings have had some benefit, but more rewarding for me, and probably it's different from person to person, more rewarding for me was the emphasis on and the curiosity and the love of the somatic, the body, the sensation aspect of difficult feelings. So the question here is, or to localize it in the body, for example, what happens to me sometimes is, I wake up in the night, about 3-4 o'clock, and my mind is like a dog running out, sniffing for problems. And it always comes back with a big bone. And if it does not find problems in the next day or in the next week, it just goes backwards. It goes into the past. So now, what we have learned in that moment is, maybe to take a sleeping pill or try to figure it out. Like, if I only think about it hard, if I only find the solution, if I only think about the whole night what I'm going to say to my partner next day, or whatever it is, the problem is. So the question here is, which is the question of stopping to run and slowing down, is, where is this in my body? How does this feel in my body? And if you ask that question and you get used to that and you see the value of it and you make the experience how there is a relief, how there is something happening, then that gesture or that move, that question will happen more and more automatically, more and more, not as a practice, but just as a way of being. So you will become, as a way of being, more and more in touch and more in tune with this. What's happening here? What's happening here right now? How does it feel what I say? So don't sit here just as head on a stick, because I'm talking also on a different plan. And most of the stuff I say you're not going to remember. But what you are going to remember is those moments where you felt something. So how does it feel in my body? So it's like bringing your awareness into the belly, the chest, the hands, the feet. So part of that recognizing is, so I go like I will go through it at the same time because they point to similar aspects. So part of that recognizing is to stop to deny. So you increase your emotional intelligence. So instead of, oh, I shouldn't feel like this. This shouldn't hurt me. Or I could beat myself up in the night for, these silly worries I have. A few nights ago I couldn't sleep because, what was it? Something. I had ordered something on the internet, and I had written the wrong address, the wrong number. And somehow at 3 o'clock in the night, this came to my mind. I realized I had written the wrong number. I don't know. It's amazing what sometimes comes up. And then something in me made this story about it. I got really anxious about this thing, which wouldn't arrive, which was not even important. So now I could beat myself up and say, you are a meditation teacher and blah, and you shouldn't feel like this, and why do you worry, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, but it did matter. I felt like that. And it does not help to tell me I shouldn't feel like this. Or it doesn't help me to tell me, it doesn't help me, and it also doesn't help you if I talk to you. If you would come and say, I'm so sad because that, and then I would say, you shouldn't feel like that. Just relax, be happy. Don't feel like that. You have no reasons to feel like that. Everything is fine. Shut up. Don't tell me how I have to feel or I have not to feel. So this recognition is really to be more daring to stand up and to be loyal to what you feel and how you are. Yeah, this hurts me. This is difficult for me. I worry about this. I'm nervous about this. I'm afraid of this. I'm upset. I'm pissed off. And in that way, and this is really, this is a long process, of course, because you have learned in childhood, we don't feel this here. This is bad to feel like this. I don't know what it was for you. Maybe, sadness or anger or being afraid or being too silly or being too happy or being too smart even. No, in this family we don't feel this. We don't talk about it. It does not exist. Yeah. So, and then you as a child wanting to adapt, wanting to fit in, wanting to be loved, not wanting to make problems. Yeah. So then it was pushed down in your body, and you lost the interest in it. You lost the capacity to be with it, but it's not gone. You might project it onto others. So this is a journey back into the body, back towards your feelings. Being loyal to your feelings, inviting them back. They are like children. So you invite them back to your table. You try to exclude them out into the cold, door shut. And then they are sitting there outside in the cold. Let me in, and they come up in your dreams. And sometimes they break into the house and they make a complete mess. And you're also embarrassed, you're ashamed of them. Oh, I hope the neighbors don't notice that. The nice children, they can sit in the living room, and when the neighbors come, but then there are the other ones. I hope the neighbors, they don't notice those other ones. But of course they notice. Of course. It's so silly to try to hide your children. So now you open the door and, okay, come in. You can sit by the table. So that's the recognition. And the recognition is, of course, also partly with the thoughts, but the recognition is, for us, very importantly in the body. In other cultures, maybe not so much, but in northern cultures, very important. So how does it feel in my body? Where is it in my body? So what I do then in the night when I wake up is just, okay, how does it feel in my body? I can feel it in the belly. Depending on what it is, it feels quite fiery. Sometimes it's more like a bowl of iron. Sometimes it's quite localized. Sometimes it's kind of spreading. So where is it in the body? Sometimes it's kind of black. Sometimes it's more reddish. Sometimes it's quite fluid, sometimes it has very sharp edges. Sometimes it's quite persistent. It really stays and it's kind of sticky. Sometimes already when I ask the question, where is it in my body, it kind of starts to soften a bit. Starts to become more spacious. So you are triggered by something internally, externally, and you take that trigger, like a mindfulness bell. So there's the trigger, slowing down. Oh, where's that in my body? Recognizing. And this is, if you ask yourself, oh, how do I bring meditation into relationships? How to bring meditation into daily life? This is how you bring it. You get an email. How does it feel in my body? You see something beautiful. How does this feel in my body? You feel a bit shy, you feel a bit anxious. How does this feel in my body? You feel heard, you feel judged. How does this feel in my body? You feel really pissed. How does this feel in my body? And then the second, yeah, embrace, accept. So how does this feel in my body? And it's okay. It's okay to feel like this. You are a human being and you have feelings. Welcome to the club. And we share. You know, you're not special, you're not particularly screwed up. We are all screwed up. Screwed up in a way that we all have this unwanted children happening. Our feelings. And it's fine, it's okay. Your feelings are not dangerous, they are not poisoning, they are not embarrassing. And you're perfectly equipped to feel all your feelings. So this is also a practice of starting to trust that everything is workable. Everything is workable. Because your feelings are workable. It's about feelings. It's about the way you feel. The problem is not that you lose your job, the problem is how you feel about it. So if your feelings are workable, then also losing your job is workable. So this is a tremendous direction to go, to lose the fear of being human and having feelings. And you're going to continue to have feelings. Why? Because you're human, like everyone else here. We are human beings and we have feelings. And for a moment, maybe drop this idea of afflicted emotions or mental poisons or words like this. Feelings are energy. They are not bad or not good. They are energy. And you can give space to them. The problem is not the feeling, the problem is what we do with it, how we relate to the feelings. Yeah.
If anger arises, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
then you can just be with it. That's what you mean, and you don't have to do anything with it.
Yes, here in this approach is, so we will go through this. So with anger is, where is it in your body? Accept it. Yeah. And then we go further. So that's not where we stop. Yeah. So we go further. We go deeper. But that's the beginning. Yes. Slowing down, pausing, and shifting into the body. With anger, with everything what is called shampa, with everything which is triggering you, pushing your button, with everything you get hooked with, everything you have a response to. So embrace, accept. And here I want to, no, maybe this is a bit too much, but I will explain it later. Here I want to bring the practice of Tonglen into it. Because the practice of Tonglen is one way, using the breath to approach and to be with a situation like this. But let's take that this afternoon. And again, this is a long process to say yes. And it includes also to say yes to the resistance and to say yes to the, I don't want to be here. How does that feel? Like if I would ask you, so if you would tell me, so I have this fear, and then I would ask you, so where is it in the body? Where do you feel it? And then you would say, I don't want to, I don't want to. Then I would ask you, how does it feel not to want this? Of course you don't want this. How does it feel? Where is it in your body? This, I don't want this. So then maybe you notice that you try to breathe here, because as soon as you go a bit deeper, you would touch that. So then I would ask you, how does it feel to breathe here, to try to stay here? So no matter what it is, you localize it in the body, and you accept, you embrace. So maybe now you feel, this is really stupid what he says. It does not work. So then I would ask you, how does it feel in your body? Or you feel confused. I don't understand this. It's like, what is he talking about? So how does that feel in your body? What is happening? This is my favorite question. Or one of my favorite questions. My favorite question is actually, who is experiencing that? But we are going to get there here. Yeah? So right now we ask the question, okay, what is it? Where is it? So, and that leads to the third. Yeah? So the stop here in Pema Chodron's model refers to letting go of thoughts. So it's that process of letting go of thoughts and returning and remaining with the sensations. Because your conceptual mind will try to throw hooks. Think about this. Here, this is the solution. Go through this for the 1,000th time. You went through it 1,000 times. You'd never get anywhere. But anyway, do it. Because it's very important to think about it again. Yeah, and then you say, okay, I obey. And you're hanging at the hook. So now, letting go of the hook, dropping back into the body. Of course, there is also times of using your cognitive capacities, yeah. But right now we're exploring the other direction. So investigate, that's the vipassana, so looking deeper. Being interested, being curious. And this can make such a big difference, to be interested, to be curious. So how about becoming interested, becoming curious about anxiety? So how do you know, looking deeper? So and that's the investigating the non-static nature, the impermanence, what is called impermanence in the Buddhist teachings. Exploring anxiety on that chi, on that prana level, on that energetic level. What is that anxiety, that energy of anxiety without words? So sometimes, so I do that, dropping, exploring where is it in the body, and then I start the inquiry. And that can be sometimes supported by some questions. Questions which are not meant to be answered, but questions which are meant to keep my mind interested, lovingly interested, curious. And one question, for example, is, why is it so difficult to be with this? What is it actually? So just why is it so difficult to be with this fire in the stomach? Then I might say, yeah, because it's unpleasant. But that's a word. So go deeper than that. What is this without the word unpleasant? And why is it so difficult to be with this ball of iron in my stomach? And then I can ask, is this harming me? Is this dangerous? This ball in my stomach, this iron ball. Is that right now, in this moment, is that harming me? Is that dangerous? And then I look at it. I explore it. Why is it so difficult? Is this harming me? Is this actually dangerous to have this ball of iron in my stomach? What's the problem? Of course, my intellect, my concept, and society says, you have a problem. You experience anxiety. This is a problem. Stupid question, what is the problem? But here, we actually become, we investigate. We question this kind of statement. This is a problem to be sad. It's a problem to have fear. It's a problem to be hurt. So, what's the problem? And now again, this is not a question where you look and then you think about it. Oh, what's the problem with this, and where can this lead to, and blah blah blah. No, it's like an inquiry which keeps you looking. This kind of interest, this kind of curiosity and awe towards life, this is also such a beautiful gift to another person. So instead of coming with the advice and the fixing and the controlling, to ask questions. Oh yeah, so tell me more. How does it feel? I'm here. I'm here to listen. I'm curious about this. So the investigation then naturally leads into the fourth state, in the fourth step. So this is the experience in the Buddhist tradition. When you look closely at things, more closely, so from far away, things, outside things and inside experiences, from far away, if you don't look closely, they seem to be so real and so solid and so existing. Like, this is a spoon. This is a spoon, and it's like, It's like this, and it exists there, and it has a place, and it's a real thing. Yeah? And it's a spoon. Definitely it's a spoon. And it is separate. It's a separate phenomena. And it's beautiful. Yeah? So now in the practice of vipassana, insight meditation, the investigation, all you do is you look deeper. You get closer and closer and closer, and you really look at it. You investigate into it. You take it apart. And what happens is, and this is with anything, closer you get, less you find. And that's strange, because if this really would exist, and it would be real, and it would be solid, then closer you get, more clearer it should become. More obvious it should become. More something it should become. But closer you get, less you find. So, we even don't need to go to quantum physics. Even if you use a completely outdated model of this, Rutherford or something, it's like 99% space. So now you do that with your anxiety. So you look deeper. What is it? Taking it apart. Dropping the story, dropping the words. Sometimes then I say to myself, how do I know that this is anxiety? Maybe it's bliss. Yeah. Maybe it's bliss. It is. It is bliss. And it is bliss. From the tantric point of view. It's the natural bliss of your nervous system, the natural energetic move of chi, of prana, of life's energy. Or sometimes I say, how do I know that this is anxiety? And then I say, maybe I'm in love. So if I would be in love, wouldn't it be the kind of same energy? Kind of the same thing happening? Let's remember how it feels to be in love. Wouldn't there be also that fire here? So then I say, maybe I'm just confused. I'm in love, and I make a problem out of it. So all that, this is just examples, creative ways to play with this, to really question, not not to take anything for granted. And usually I fall asleep about here. Yeah. But then, yeah, so sometimes I don't fall asleep. So then there's enough space. And that's good. I mean, you know, people ask, you know, people say sometimes, I don't have time to meditate. Now, I have time to meditate in the middle of the night at 1 o'clock. I wake up and I have worries. There's time for me to meditate. So I don't have any problem to come up with a few hours of meditation every day. And then if some people would look at my life, they would maybe say, oh, he didn't meditate today. But from the inside, no, I didn't make an event out of it, like, you know, like an event, the event of meditation. So that's why people would notice from the outside. From the outside, it looked like I couldn't sleep 1 hour. From the inside, from the inside, I take my seat as a practitioner, and there's a satisfaction in that. There's a sense of living a meaningful life. So then the last, and now we shift into the fruitional view. Now we shift into the resultant view. Yeah? So in the RAIN model, it's called non-identification. So this is. We will talk about this a bit more this afternoon and tomorrow. So this is, there's different ways to talk about this. So this is one way to talk about this is to use the terminology of the commitment and acceptance therapy, which is a quite recent development in the cognitive therapy. So, and they describe it as shifting from self as content to self as context. So, self as content is being identified with the content of your experience. This is me. I am the content of my experience. What is the content of your experience? That's thoughts, sensations. I am this body. I am my feelings. I am my memories. I am my name. I am my roles. I am this. So that's the basic ignorance, the basic confusion, that we identify with the content of our experience. There's thoughts, so they are my thoughts. There's sensations, there's breath, they are my breath. It's me. I'm the clouds. So in this shift, we explore the possibility that you are not the content of your experience. But you are the space, the knowing space, which is aware of your experience. So it's a shift from being self-centered, self-importance, a shift of from self-importance, self-centeredness, a sense of separateness, to a shift of feeling open, connected, spacious, sky like, heart like the sky. You're not the weather, you're the sky. You're not the separate wave, you are the ocean. You're not contracted, separate, but you are embedded, connected, part of, without limitless in a way, without solid borders. You can't say where you start and where you stop. So, and that's something which we will maybe mainly explore tomorrow. How to facilitate, or how to recognize that shift. The shift from the little self to the big self. The shift from the separate, defensive, reactive self to the connected, open, boundaryless and centerless self. That's awakening. That's what is called in the Buddhist teachings awakening. You wake up from that nightmare of separateness, that illusion of separateness, into the truth of interconnectedness, of interbeing. So one image for that, of this process of creating a sense of separateness, is this metaphor of the waves and the ocean. So let's say, no, let's see a wave. So a wave emerges from the ocean. Yeah? So at one point, this wave develops the capacity to a mental process which is called selfing. So what happens at one point, this wave develops the capacity for this mental process of selfing. So at one point, it does like me. And then it looks out from that me. And then it sees, oh, there's so many other waves. And then it becomes self-conscious. And it's wondering, I wonder if I'm wavy enough. Oh, look there, she is much more wavy than me. And There's so other many waves. I hope there's enough space for me. And then the other waves, they start to talk about the ocean. How wonderful the ocean is, how you get there, what you need to do to go to the ocean, how hard it is, and that you need to do a lot of things. So they talk about the ocean, they discuss the ocean. They long for the ocean. So the awakening, the awakening is the recognition of this mental process of selfing, which happens in you every moment. There's a thought, there must be a me. There's a feeling, there must be a me. There's seeing, there must be a me. There's a memory, there must be a me. There is something I see, there must be a me. So in each moment, there is this mental process of selfing. The wrong conclusion, there is experience, so there must be a me. So when you realize that as a mental process, which has its place and its value, you needed to develop that as a child, and if that process was disturbed, you need to do a few years of therapy to have a healthy selfing going on. Yeah? But the problem is not the process of selfing, the problem is that you believe that's me. This is all I am. This mental process of selfing. So the awakening, the recognition of this as a mental process, that is part of the awakening. And the recognition of that you are the ocean. That's the other part of awakening. So this is the shift from the little separate wave to recognize the process through which you create the separation. And a recognition of that, what you really are. So the wave realizes that she is the ocean. So that's the shift, or the non-identification. The non-identification with the content of your experience, and the identification with your Buddha nature, with pure awareness, with unconditioned awareness, with non-dual awareness, with pure awareness, with the sky, with the heart, with oneness, the identification with oneness. So we have a break, but just in a few minutes. So when I get to that, what we need to explore, and there's many doors, and you find these doors in the Mahamudra and Dzogchen tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, which are the practices, the resultant practices within the Tibetan tradition, pointing out to the wave that she is already the ocean. Not as a theory, but as an experience. Not as an idea, but as an experience. Because the wave can experience at any moment that she is already the ocean. Because that's what she is. So, how to know how to have glimpses of that. How can the wave have glimpses of that she is already the ocean? And there's pointers and methods in the Mahamudra and Dzogchen tradition to do this shift. So in the night, when I go through this process, so I localize, then embracing, maybe with the practice of Tonglen, where I then also open that moment to all the other people who are awake. I mean, if I know, most of the time I'm awake in Copenhagen. So then I can just in my, in my part of Copenhagen, there's probably hundreds of people who are awake. So that's the embrace, the accept. Then the investigate, through these questions of what's the problem here? Why is it so difficult? What is this without words? And then, one of the questions which sometimes help me to make this shift is, what is aware of this anxiety? What is aware of these sensations? So I look, I kind of turn away, I turn around my gaze from the clouds, I turn it around into the sky. What do I find there? I turn it around into the experiencer, which is not a little person sitting in my head. The little person in my head, that's a mental process of the selfing. It's created. So I turn around, what is aware? What is knowing this? And I look. I look into the nature of mind. I look into the nature of awareness. I become curious, lovingly curious about the most important thing, and that's awareness, consciousness. So I use this moment of anxiety as the most rewarding exploration in Tibetan Buddhism. And that is the exploration of the nature of mind. What is aware? Not by thinking through it, or what is aware, consciousness and it's in the brain, and no, by looking directly in my experience. It has nothing to do with thinking. It's pure introspection into the nature of consciousness. I don't need to read a book about consciousness, 800 pages about consciousness. No, I look. I trust my own experience, my own looking. I don't trust this 800 pages about consciousness. No, I pause and I look into consciousness. I look into awareness. So what do I find? That's what we are. That's the, that's the place where, that's where the paradise is. That's the ultimate medicine. What in the Buddhist teachings is called the ultimate medicine. That's home. That's nirvana. What you look into there. Okay. I'm sorry to blah. So let's have a break, and this afternoon I will guide you through this, and then I hope you will have some questions and some doubts and some struggles with what I said, so that we can make this meaningful for you. So let's have a break until 2:15.